Hello viewer, I'd like to talk about an interesting video. There is this channel called the Rational Voice. Rational Voice is a petty bourgeoisie liberal, an opportunist within leftism. In his video, Purging the Tankies Among Us, he wastes 16 minutes lecturing his viewers on why China is mean. I myself have many criticisms of China, but he doesn't back his video with anything but emotionalism. In fact, that's all the video is about. He's like, what about Hong Kong, and about the Uyghur people? This is some naive rhetoric. He depends on the fallacy of appealing to emotion. He does not go deep enough into the issue, he just says it. However, his followers just slap all of his content. They're blinded by the slave morality of the humanist liberal herd. For some of my viewers, you might wonder, what's a tankie? Well, the term tankie refers to members of the Communist Party of Great Britain that blindly support the policies of the Soviet Union. This means that they supported the crushing of the 1950s and 60s uprisings of Czechoslovakia and Hungary. Fun fact, the CPGB became a reformist social democrat party after the fall of the Soviet Union, which means that these tankies were ideologically similar to this channel called the Rational Voice.
207 papers were issued for the second ballot on the name, and the voting figures were as follows. For Democratic Left, 124. Communist Party of Great Britain, 71, the Democratic Socialist Party, 10, and there were 2 spoilt papers. Therefore, I declare that Democratic Left is the name of this organisation.
In internet socialist circles, the term tankie is used as a pejorative against anyone that isn't a libertarian socialist or pseudo-socialist. Anarchist, liberal social democrats, Trotskyites, left, communist and every other example of ideological LARPing are all the groups that say the word for such purposes. First, I'd like to say that you can watch his video, but it would be fine if you don't want to give him views. Though, you can just dislike his video. I will criticize the parts of the video that I find distasteful. Now let's do it. 1. Here, we have the reason why he is a petty bourgeoisie liberal. He reads a comment that criticizes him for supporting mainstream media opinions. Mr. Rational simply responded and said, the media is not always wrong. Well, it's true that mainstream media is not always bad, but this can be used as a tool of manipulation. Let's say that you were in 1970s America. The US government was at war. It was fighting in the Vietnam War. Nixon was right that America was in the war against communism. The media and corporate elites were also right about this. All of these people said the truth of the war. However, they used the truth to justify their policies. They used drafting of young men for their war, the war against a mostly rural and poor nation. Fun fact, Did you know that the Social Democrats USA, the inspiration for the foolish party named Democratic Socialist of America, supported the Vietnam War? They wanted American citizens to die in an imperialist war of no resources or economic gains. If they tell the truth, it does not mean that we accept their solution to the problems caused from truth. 2. Mr. Rational then goes on to talk about a comment that rejects Hong Kong protest for the reason that they wave America flags. Mr. Rational's critique of the comment was that it depicted the protest as a monolithic group. He says that this is reactionary, which is expected, because such liberal-minded people call everything they dislike fascist and reactionary without proof of why they are fascist and reactionary. I will say that it is a concern that these people wave British flags because it is showing the ideology of these people. It does not matter if the majority of these people don't share these beliefs. What matters is who leads. 3. As expected, Mr. Rational goes on to say that not all people are the same. I already addressed this. He then says that it is hypocritical to be against violence in China. This is a bogus claim, especially when he says that the Maoists did violence. It is true that they did violence, but they were in a completely different situation. They were living in starvation, harsh poverty, civil war, and an unstable government. Hong Kong protesters are not in this situation. I reject violence in certain situations. I simply want peace, and I don't want another Tiananmen Square. 4. Mr. Rational addressed another of my arguments. I was arguing that criminals don't get a safe haven. However, this guy says that it ruins Hong Kong's sovereignty. Which is the point, because Hong Kong has a temporary status. One country, two systems is supposed to transition Hong Kong and Mac into regular Chinese territories. Mr. Rational then goes on to criticize my final argument. Mr. Rational at this point is defending a Uyghur chauvinist. China is fighting a war against ISIS-supported terrorists. The Rational voice denounces my claims and ignores that many Uyghurs are sympathetic to Taliban-like ideologies. He denounces it with his slave morality, and complains about internment camps. He does not examine why such things happen, and he ignores the history of this. He goes on a moralist rant for the rest of the video, and that's all I had to criticize him for.
Hãy subscribe cho kênh Ghiền Mì Gõ để không bỏ lỡ